Hello, fellow beekeepers, and welcome to the first Live at the Hive of 2026. We set this up about 4 days ago because the weather forecast was going to look quite warm, and it's forecast to be in about 15 degrees, which I haven't got a problem normally opening a colony of bees then. On Thursday, when we decided to do it, the bees were flying really strongly and they were bringing in quite a lot of pollen. I don't quite know what it is at the moment, but it is, oh yeah, it's barely 12. So I'd better say that from um, a normal point of view, at this time of the year, I wouldn't normally open a colony of bees. If it was up to 14, 15 and the bees are flying strongly and crucially, they're bringing in pollen and big lumps of pollen. I personally haven't got any problem opening a colony. If they're not flying particularly strongly and the small pellets of pollen, that'll show you that it's live on it and not edited. Small pellets of pollen, then unless you want to do something really quickly, certainly I wouldn't advocate opening a colony of bees. They're not flying too well, not too strongly at the moment, but I've taken the decision to just open up a couple of colonies to show people what's happening and some of the things that perhaps you can do earlier in the season, especially if it's a bit warmer. Right, so what have I got? Well, Live at the Hive isn't normally scripted. It really is spontaneous. But what I had in mind was that I know this colony is over to one side, and I know that because I've been feeding Fondant for the last few weeks. Now, as many of you know, I don't normally feed Fondant. In fact, the last time I did was about 20 years ago. But because of the heavy ivy flow towards the end of 2025, all the colonies, all mine here, have got quite a lot of ivy honey in, and of course you get into March, and there's a great need for food. The bees can't really get out and get very much at the moment, other than just a bit for maintenance. So what I did was, rather than have some of them starve in March because they can't work the ivy honey, I have fed them Fondant. Now, going on from that just a little bit, the Fondant I had was literally 20 years old and it was absolutely solid. So what we've done is we've done a very short video on how I softened it. And very, very briefly, well, you could obviously watch the video, but very briefly, all I do is put a bit of water on it and put it in the microwave for a short time on full power, and it softened it up nicely. So perhaps we can see how the bees have taken that. Now, all the colonies here, as I hope you can see, if somebody can do a bit of pan with the camera, all the colonies have still got woodpecker protection on. Now, we've done a video on that, and we also did a Live at the Hive on that. We do get green woodpeckers in this area, yaffles we call them, and it's they can go through the side of a hive in no time. So even in March, they can go and make a mess of hives. So probably what I'll do is I'll just leave them on for a couple of weeks. Although what we are going to do is we're going to take the protection off the colonies that we're going to have a brief look at. Now, I've mentioned this one here, and I'll show you what I do early in the season to try and centralise the brood. We've also got another one that Last year, if you remember, I discovered uncapping. I just didn't know it was there. I had changed the queen a few weeks earlier, so obviously I think that had something to do with it. So that's that one, and the other one is this nuke here, and I've deliberately left this with three 5 frame boxes just to show what um, happens, or what I hope is going to happen, or what the bees are going to do in a natural situation where they're much taller than they are wide, as they are in a natural situation. So I think that's just about all. So I think we will go into this one and have a look and see what we've got there. Um, Now, you might notice, I don't know whether it picks it up very well or not, a brand new veil, because I had a comment or two that perhaps some of my other ones were a bit old for showing on video. So I've got a brand new veil, and I think it was probably the last one that the supplier had. So I suspect, but I don't know. They're probably not going to be made anymore. So if you'd like one of these, then keep pushing at the suppliers and say, "Oi, I want a veil like Roger Patterson's got," and hopefully they'll start making them again. So let's just get on. Get my kit on, and away we go. Now, I will stress again that I would not normally open up hives at this temperature unless it's going to be a very quick inspection, and you've got to do it. Now, of course, starvation may well be one of those, or expected starvation. So, as usual, a little bit of smoke in the entrance. Always worth having a look inside. It could be wet. There could be something lurking inside there. Don't anybody put your hand on that. Wait. Now, I mentioned videos a minute or two ago. We have put up quite a lot of new videos, so just have a look on the Bibber YouTube channel, and you should see something you haven't seen before. They might be a little bit out of sequence, simply because we're just doing them as we go, rather than necessarily for the time of year. I wonder why I couldn't see very well. Martina forgot to remind me to put my glasses on. That's a little bit better. I can see things now. No. One thing I will say, perhaps I shouldn't admit to this, but I have come down here once or twice, and I've had bees buzzing around my head. Now, very occasionally, I do get what I call a mismating, and I suspect my queens are mated with some of the others that are brought in locally, and of course you sometimes get a little bit of aggression. I'm hoping I'm not going to get it with this colony, but it is something that you might need to be aware of with your own bees. Might not necessarily be anything that you are doing um, uh, wrong. Now this colony is a bit on the small side. That was a fondant that I've put in, and this is where the bees are. So what I would do is move a couple, if not three frames from this side over to that side. Now, appearing to be as small as that could be because the temperature's a bit on the low side, or it might be that the queen hasn't been laying quite as full as she should have done. Sorry about the coughing. For about 3 weeks I've had quite a bad dry cough. Now we've got some liquid stores here. There's some liquid stores. And some more. And some more. Now these are on an open mesh floor. So all I'm going to do is I'm not going to do very much more than just move these over to one side and then put those three frames I've just taken out over the other side. Now, may be that they haven't built up partly because of the being blocked off that side. And these are nowhere near as strong as I'd expect them to be.
Are you seeing much brood there, Roger?
No, not yet. No. In fact, I'll get to the point where I may not find much. Maybe a queen gone. Got a problem. Yeah, I can see brood in there. No, nowhere near as much as I would expect. Now there's a liquid food here, which I assume has come from the fondant. So nowhere near as strong as I would like to see. Some of my others in an out apiary we looked at a week ago, and they were completely covering the tops of the frames. All right, so this is going to be late. Late building up. Even with a situation like this, what I will do is just have a quick look at the sealed brood for signs of AFB, and the unsealed brood, you probably can't see it because of the light. It's just on the point of being sealed down there for signs of EFB. I'm not going to open them up too much. Now, yes, they are weak. Now, a lot of people have been losing bees this winter with the Mary Celeste syndrome, which probably is caused by viruses, and it might just be that this one had not quite a full dose of that, but they've lost quite a lot of bees as a result of it. But surprisingly, colonies will pick up quite quickly. Now, interestingly, there's some bees there feeding each other. Oh, they just dispersed, so you probably haven't seen that. Now, it wouldn't have been um, forage coming in, so either it's trophallaxis, which is the food transfer system they got inside the hive, or what I don't know is if they're being fed, if they store, is it the what would normally be the foraging bees, um, put it in the cells, or do they hand it over to a house bee? I'm afraid I don't know. Well, not afraid, but I don't know. I expect a lot of people do, but I don't. Now that is going to be a barrier to a queen. You've got pollen in there, which has obviously been bringing in the last a few weeks, and they've got liquid stores as well. That will be a barrier to a queen. But what I didn't say was that we got blackthorn just coming out, and blackthorn winter normally lasts about a couple of weeks. So the bees will go back, I suspect, into a sort of a semi-cluster, and I don't want to get them expanding any more than I have to, because I think you then just put them under stress. Now that is going to build up quite late, so I'll have to keep an eye on that one. So what I've done is I've given them a better chance of uh, expanding when the time comes. I'm very much against pushing bees, certainly early in the season, because I'm pretty certain you get a stress problem, a nutrition problem, because of course you get more brood than you really should have in relationship to the adult bees. Now, um, they're obviously okay for food, so I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother them too much, but I will keep an eye on them, and I'll probably open up in a couple of weeks. As I say, I'm expecting the temperatures to drop with blackthorn winter. If you don't get blackthorn in your area, then uh, that will be a different matter. But I think I'll leave that exactly as it is. Um, and I suspect that colony, it may not build up quick enough for the or see rape, but certainly the later flow it should be okay. But it went into winter strong enough, and I suspect, but I don't know. Perhaps there's a higher virus load there than there should be. Because
Roger, sorry, carry on.
yeah, I was going to say viruses are something that's not always easy for the beekeeper to spot. Certainly, deformed wing virus, although the viruses are obviously still there, I don't see anywhere near as much deformed wing virus as I did even 5 years ago. And there's obviously something going on that the scientists know better than I do. So there's that. I'm just going to go across to another hive now, which is the one that we discovered the uncapping last year. Just see if they're still uncapping. So,
Roger, just a quick while you're moving across, it's been noted in chat that you put the fondant in that hive directly on the frames.
yeah,
And you often see conflicting comments about doing that. A lot of people put them in packages or containers. What are your thoughts?
well, as I said, I don't normally do it, but you can see that they've eaten that away, and they're still working on it. So Yeah. Um, yeah, it's like everything else in beekeeping. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's caging queens or extracting honey. Somebody's got a different way of doing it, and that's their favourite way of doing it. And it may well be what they were taught when they started, and they just don't move away from it. Obviously, I wasn't taught how to put a fondant on, but yes, I know people wrap cling film around it and all sorts of things. Now, at the teaching apiary, we did wrap cling film around it, and some of the bees chewed it up in a little bits and then took it out the entrance. So we next time we went to the hives, there was uh, a cling film hanging at the entrances. Um, Personally, I don't like cling film or any sort of plastic that you can't sort of recycle, but that's only a personal thing. I have got some here, and I could look at a few. I think I have got some that are in plastic tubs, and in fact, I think the next one's got it on. We'll just see what's happened to them. Yes,
Yeah.
I know people put stuff in fondant in things like takeaway containers and that sort of thing. Waving my hands around, I shouldn't have done. Yeah. Takeaway containers and those sort of things. Um, I have seen, I've even seen it wrapped up in newspaper. Quite what that was supposed to do, I don't know. But the when I spoke to the beekeeper, they they had the idea a little bit like the um, uniting. He stabbed the he wrapped the fondant up in the newspaper and then stabbed it with a high tool. And what he said was that the bees chewed to the newspaper when they wanted the fondant, and they took it. Well, a lot of people say, "Oh, it'll dry it out or whatever." Well, if it worked for that beekeeper, uh, then why not carry on doing it until you can find a better way of doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, one thing that has happened since we set off is that somebody very kindly taken the wrapping off the next hive for me. So shall we go into that one? Oh dear. Oops.
That doesn't happen often, Roger.
Well, yeah, we've had a discussion about this already. It's because the fuel is damp.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I think you made me talk too much. Right, it looks if we got a little bit of a break. Yeah.
That proves you're an ordinary beekeeper, Roger.
Well, yeah, that's right. Some will say very ordinary. I've got I've got two very disappointed girls with me here, and the reason they're disappointed is because the dogs have gone on holiday. They should be back tonight, so you won't see them um, running around in the background. No. Yeah, so it is a bit of a problem when in the spring. Yeah, because the smoker fuel is still pretty damp. Yeah, we've had well the air's damp as well. And funny enough, I think it was Martina only mentioned a half hour ago. It's probably not the cold; it's sort of the problem. It's a damn pair. Anyway, let's go and have a look at this one over here now. Right, okay, I was going to stand there, Martina, but can you get over there, please? Yeah. You can see we haven't got it sorted out too well, can't you? We are a bit on the sort of amateur side. Yeah, so what I've done with this one is I just put a, oh, can you see? Yeah, what I've done is just put a empty super on, and this one's got a plastic container of fondant. Let's just see what we got under there. All right, I haven't taken very much of that, but it is soft, look. Can you see that, Martina? It's just soft. I suspect probably they've got enough in the brood frames, and they've no need for it. And that is something there's a lot of discussion about. If bees don't take it, does it mean they've got enough food? It probably means that they can't access it for whatever reason. So, this is a bit different. Now, this one did have a fondant that was put on top of the frames. And then what I decided to do was to put that a container on top. Now, as I keep saying to people, observation is an important part of beekeeping, and I can see down through there some drone cells. I don't know if you can pick them up or not, Martina. Drone cells, and that for colony this size, this time of year, is probably not good news, especially if yeah, sorry, I was looking at the other camera somewhere. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, especially with a colony that isn't full at the moment, as it is at the moment. Right now, these are a little bit on the spiky side, which they weren't at the back end of last year. So I might have to close up, and I'll have to keep an eye on this lot. Now, what do you do? And you're the expert here. What do you do if you've got a colony that's showing good varroa resistance? Woo! And they are a bit on the spiky side. In fact, they're more than a bit on the spiky side. So I'll try not to hang around with this look. I'm not getting stung, but two girls might. Right, there's quite a lot of unsealed brood on there. Queen's just laid on that frame, and there's some sealed right in the middle. Come on.
Seal worker brood, is that, Roger?
Yeah.
So not drone.
But the next frame has got drone on. So it could just be that we've got a failing queen. And there we are, look. Yep. Right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would suggest this queen is failing, or she's going to fail, which is a bit unfortunate because if they are...
It looks like you've got some uncapped cells there too.
Yeah, but they are strangely enough, drone.
Which happened?
Drone. Yeah. Right, now what happens if you've got a colony? It is a little bit on the spiky side. We've got some others up here, look. So, and one there. Now, if you've got drones that are singly, so effectively they're in worker cells, then you've probably got a problem. Now, what I was going to ask was that if this, I think, as a full colony, would be quite difficult to handle. So, oh yeah, look, yeah, we've got drone there as well. So we've got a failing queen. What I was going to ask was if you've got a colony with that's showing good varroa resistance, yet it has got a problem, such as it's a bit on the spiky side. What do you do with it? Do you try and save the genetics of the characteristics you want and try to get through it, or not? My suggestion would be that you try to get through it, and I'd be, if that was genuinely a varroa resistant colony, I think I would be quite happy to raise queens from it. With my situation here, if they all became spiky, then I'd make a decision. But if only a few did, or none of them, then I would leave them be, I think.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if it continues to be spiky and more so as the colony grows, then you might have to reconsider. But
yeah, okay, right. So that might be the colony that was a bit on the spiky side. But I think if you go back and find out what it was like last year, I think you'll find it was a pretty decent colony. I mean, we've had all of mine were, but I can tell you that one is going to be, in normal circumstances, that one right now will be down for requeening early.
oh, yeah.
Right. Okay. There is one little other job I can do. This colony here. Well, let me go back a bit. We've done a bit of work on here during the winter, as you can see from one of the videos, and we split what were 2 long stands into 4 shorter ones. This colony here was over there, but it was a bit of a problem handling it in the middle, and certainly a problem if it got 3 or 4 supers on, and so had some of the others. So I moved it across to there. Now, I did it as a video, and I showed what I thought a beginner should be doing. Just do it in stages. For a more experienced beekeeper, I wouldn't have done that. I'd literally just moved it from there to there, because any bees that would have gone back there would have ended up in one of those 2 colonies, and shouldn't have been a problem. But I did it for the video, and I've moved it across in about 4 or 5 goes. So all I'm going to do now is just move this onto the stand. So if I can have a little bit of help from a pair of hands, I just move that onto there. Yep. Yep. Okay, thanks a lot. Yep, and then move that away. Now I stressed it for an experienced beekeeper, you haven't got to do that. But for an inexperienced beekeeper, I think it's probably worth doing things a little bit more cautiously. Right, now, the last one I've got sort of planned, not that we plan too much, is this one here, which again it's been undressed, and we'll just see what's happens. Make sure the smoke ain't gone out. All right. Right, so let's just have a look in the top here to start with. Oh, look, snails all the way up here, look. And some more. Ah, and there's a queen wasp hibernating behind the woodpecker wrapping. So, you know what's going to happen to that, don't you? So, okay. Do you want to take it home, dissect it? No. You can see all the fat inside it. So let's just have a look in the top here and see what we got. The bees are right up there. Now straight away I can tell they are queen right. I generally break them if I've got more than one box on. Let's just show you what the bees have done. We need some spring cleaning at the first chance. I won't take all of these out. Bee caught me on my watch strap. Right, and so there's one of the outside frames. Oh, look at this. Right at the top, look, unsealed food. Now that isn't what's been left in there over winter. Otherwise, it would have fermented. So that must be something new that's come in, and these haven't been fed. But it does show straight away that bees tend to put the food as high as they possibly can. That's interesting. Now that wouldn't have got noticed if we hadn't have opened up. So straight away we learned something, including me. Now what we got withy, or pussy willow, so it's caprea, goat willow some people call it, just coming out. It's been out for a week or 10 days, something like. Oh, look at this.
Gosh, they've really bring it in.
I reckon that's willow honey. If you don't mind, I'm going to have a little bit of taste of that. Cool, that's good.
Oh, I'm jealous of that.
No, no thymal in that. Now I'm expecting more to be in the middle. That is heavy. It's heavy. Up round here, look. So that shows you what bees do. I'm going to, there's no brood in that. I think Martina's just, don't forget to take your veil off. You want some? Did you say somebody was jealous?
I said I was jealous.
Oh, you, yeah.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I've had a couple of stings I shouldn't have had. But I'm really just opening it up to show people. As I'm sure you know, Steve, SS is starter strips, so
Yeah.
that's not foundation. I'm giving them more smoke than I would normally because, well, it is cold. And bees have got a pretty good way of telling you that they don't want you to break their home open. Don't forget, these are division boards, not dummy boards. Dummy boards are the width of a frame. I'll just have a look on there, make sure I've got no queen on that. Is that banging around your end or my end? Steve?
My end, ignore it.
Oh, right, okay. Your housekeeper works on a Sunday, does she? Oh! Yeah, look at this. Now, this is all food that's come in this year. Well, in the last few weeks. Yeah. So, now, compare this with the first colony I looked at. Now, I will accept that it's much more of a natural nest shape than the first one was. Of course, the first one was a conventional hive. That's not too heavy. It's full of eggs. And,
oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
And larva, and I'll give you the age of a larva in a minute. Yeah, larva probably 5 days old, no more than 5 days old. So the queen started laying there about 5 days ago, and then she's gone outwards. And the same that side. I will just keep an eye on it. I don't know what this one's clipped or not. Most of mine are. So
And you're in the second box, aren't you, Roger? There, so
yeah,
brood further down. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So this is as I would expect
Yeah.
from a um from a there's two bees feeding themselves there. Look. Oh no, they've gone now. Yeah. Yeah. As in a natural nest.
Yeah.
Now this is eggs on the outside. Um, Nice patch of brew. Look at varroa mite going across there. Look. I can still see it.
Yeah. Can see it. Younger one by the looks of it.
Yeah. Okay. No signs of uncapping on this one, unfortunately. So, when we finish, we'll have a little bit of discussion about this. I think we got it because people don't seem to realise. Well, probably because the books and the teachers don't tell them how bees organise their own nest. I suspect the smoke has driven the queen down. A little bit drone there, look. Now this is an SS, so it's a starter strip. So they built what they wanted, where they wanted it. This
So
is not. Sorry, carry on.
have they done predominantly drone brood in that frame then?
No, I don't think so.
Drone
No,
code?
no. This this here is drone.
Yeah. Yeah.
People seem to think that all they've got to do is just put in starter strips and bees will build what they want. It ain't quite as simple as that. They build what they want depending on where you put it. Because if you remove a free living colony, you'll find that the drone comb is always on the periphery. Well,
Yeah.
most of the time it's on the periphery. So if you put starter strip on the periphery, you'll get drone. If you put it in the middle, you'll get worker. And we got quite a lot of nectar there as well. Now,
It has to be the right time of
cool.
year as well, Roger. I mean, they won't build drone comb later in the season when they're not producing drones, will they?
No, but in general, they're not naturally building comb towards the end of the season.
No.
It's only because beekeepers force them to do it. Yeah, I'm sure I missed out some of the things that I expected to say, but when you're in a situation like this, what I see, I tend to talk about rather than plan things. Yeah. Yes, I am using quite a lot more smoke here than I would normally expect to. Look at this, look. Now, what I have done with something like this, I've put the division boards on the same side, so they're above or below each other, whichever way you want to look at it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Yeah, I've been keeping bees over 60 years now, and I think on 2 occasions, that's all. We've had a couple of supers of withy honey, willow honey, pussy willow honey early in the season. So it doesn't happen very often, but it's again something that an experienced beekeeper will probably spot, whereas an inexperienced beekeeper, because it's not in the books and nobody's told them about it, wouldn't be expecting it. So check on the weather forecast a week or two in advance if you possibly can, and then respond to that, because don't forget the bees are ramping up egg laying, so they're not needing the huge amount of food that they would later in the season. So of course they've got more to store. That thing's got quite a lot of eggs in there. But none there. So you can see the bees have been, the cells are empty. That's where they've been clustering during the winter, and also probably in the centre of the box I've just taken off. Now we've got some drones here. Look. Now that's genuine. Look, we got drones and drone comb. That's as you would expect, and we got worker comb there, and that is all okay. Okay. I am going through this colony a lot more than I would normally at this time of year, and as I said earlier, please, if you're a beginner, don't do what I'm doing. I really am just doing it just to well, for educational purposes, really. In fact, educating me, because I've learned something today.
So, Roger, question for you while you're looking: are you going to carry on towering this up, or are you going to put this into a standard hive?
Yeah. Well, I don't really know. I suppose I could do, but don't forget I've got the Patterson hives over there, which these are 5 frame, they're 8 frame, and it might be better to put one put it in one of them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I'm not careful, I'm going to be standing on a step ladder, trying to put the top boxes on. Now, all of this here, I'm sorry to say, is, although it looks good, there's very little evidence of uncapping. Might be something there. Okay, and up here. Now, that I don't think is wax moth. So there might be just a little bit going. There's one chewed out there. So it might just be worth observing this colony. I think they're sort of fairly typical of a locally adapted colony. I think they're coming through quite strong, and they didn't have any food at all. So what they've got is 15 frames, so equivalent of a sort of brood and a half, really, I suppose. I don't need to get a calculator out, but roughly that sort of amount, and they've still got a lot of sealed food left. Haven't had needed feed during the spring, and yet they're going away at their own pace, and that's the great thing about it. Right, again, looking for signs of foul brood, which I do at every colony inspection. That for sealed looks very good, and this round here unsealed looks good. Please, please, please check every time, and it doesn't take any more than 5 or 10 seconds. Can you just move over here, Martina, please? Because this one here, instead of a starter strip, I used, it looks like a tongue depressor. Looks like a, yeah, looks like a tongue depressor. So this colony here, if the next week, let's say, is going to be warm, it is going to need an extra box, I think. We'll just take this out because it's then I'll take every frame out. This has got a load of pollen here. Well, in fact, bee bread really. So I don't really know how long that's been in there. There's some dark brown now. Gorse is dark brown, and that's obviously come through the winter. Yet they're starting to put nectar in the side there. So let's just put this back together, and we'll have a little bit of discussion about what's happening, because something like this is a great learning opportunity rather than just going into a classroom and learning something that's on a screen, as if bees always do this or always do that or always do something else.
Yeah, I think if you put another box on top, would you expect them to start moving food up and expand the brood nest into the area they've cleared of the food down below, or just fill up with more food?
Right, sorry, I was thinking about something else. Right, I think probably the top box didn't have a full amount of food in the autumn, and I think the bees are just filling that up now because it's there and they expect it to be filled up. What we've got to try and do is replicate what the bees will do, and of course, in natural situation, they've got empty comb underneath them all the time, and full comb at the top. Whatever that is, it's always full comb at the top. Either that or bees. Whoops. Yeah, bees. Now I'm going to put these back, and as I put it back, I'll sort of talk you through a little bit. If that was am I there or there? I'm there. Okay. If that was a worry hive, and I've got a bit of sympathy with the worry hive, because I think it probably replicates a natural nest more than anything. They would normally do what the bees do, which is put the empty box underneath, so that the bees fill up the top with honey, and then as the more honey comes in than they need for maintenance, they excuse me, they increase the honey, and the brood nest goes down. So they're basically reusing the cells that had brooding for honey or food food store. What we're doing here when we manage something is we tend to put the empty combs at the top, which is not how bees would normally expect it to be. So I don't know if that quite answers your question or not.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So with this one, I think probably what I'll do is put it in a Patterson hive, double brood chamber Patterson hive, fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And then put a queen excluder on it, and then supers on the top. So sort of semi-conventional. Um, but there is another option, and that is if there's no brood in the top, don't split brood this time of year, whatever you do. If there's no brood in the top, you could put an empty box here, rather than on top of top of that. They're just beginning to get a little bit spiky. I think the Fahrenheit's falling out the air at the moment. It's getting a tiny bit on the nippy side, and of course they want to be kept warm. Now I don't know if you noticed it or not, but the entrance, the top feed hole has been open all winter, and I think that colony's come through well on it. I did have a, yeah.
I should keep an eye on the uncapping there, Roger. I mean, it's just early signs and not much of it, but you know, I'd keep an eye on that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I do need a block of wood to put over there. Oh, here it is. Yep. That'll do till we find it. I'll just cover that up. Yeah. So that is that. Right. So what's happened then? Well, it wasn't a normal standard situation, because as you probably remember from a past live at the hives, it was just added to us. We went across, and I may be wrong, but I seem to think the top box was made up of other bits and pieces. It might even have been a nuke or something like that, united. I can't remember now. But if that had built up properly, what would normally happen is you get the top box absolutely solid with honey, and then the rest as it is. And I think in an earlier live at the hive, I mentioned. Oh no, I didn't. Sorry, it's how bees wintered. And if you watch that, which should be going live in the next week or two, I did say that I thought the brood nest would be in this sort of area here, which it turned out to be. So what have the bees done? Well, I have to say they've done an awful lot more than I expected, because what is it, 9th of March today, is it? Something like that. It says 7th on my watch, but it's an old watch.
It's the 8th. 8th.
It's the 8th today, is it? Yeah, that is quite early for that amount of food to come in. I was really surprised, which tends to suggest that perhaps the first one we looked at, where there was liquid food, was actually foraged from outside rather than from the candy. Well, candy fondant, call it what you like. So yeah, now if that is allowed to keep going, what I'd expect the bees to do would be to fill up the top with food, honey and pollen, and then just carry on going down. Now, of course, the problem is that the bees don't really realise the restraints that we put on them. That is the outside of the box, the crown board, possibly a queen excluder, and the floor. They just expect to go down. And of course, then they get to the point where they realise they haven't got enough. If indeed bees realise, but they, in human terms, they realise that they haven't got enough space. So of course, then go up the queen cells. Now this one I would expect to be an early swarmer because of the drone brood. It is sealed, so as another that will certainly be emerged in a couple of weeks. It takes about 14 days after that, as I understand it, for drones to start sort of flying and that sort of thing. And then once, of course, they're on the wing, then they're capable of mating, and then their own colony will normally start to queen start queen cells. So I would expect this one, if I did nothing to it, I would expect an early swarm from this one, and that I think is one of the reasons why we get early swarms in April. Very often with colonies that actually aren't that strong. It's just that um, uh, they're in a home that's too small for them. It's as simple as that. Right. So, getting back to the person that asked the question, what am I going to do with this? Well, what I could do is just leave it as it is on 5 frame boxes and use it for teaching live at the hive. If it was my own bees, I would either put it in a Patterson hive, um, which would be quite easy to do. There's probably brood on 8 frames. So that would go, let's say, in the bottom box, and then they could get into the next next box, and that would be nice and easy to do. Or put it in a normal standard single box. If you do that, um, then I wouldn't do it until it really did warm up, because what you're doing is, at the moment, the bees know where everything is. They know where their food is, and they've got everything organised. And if, let's say, we get a few days of hard hard weather, they might well contract and abandon some of their brood. um, I've got to look at my watch, because I've got two ladies over there looking at theirs. So I don't know whether the
We are going over, but a couple of things just to address, Roger. I think I just want to go back to the second hive where we were talking about whether you'd save a colony, where you keep a colony that was showing varroa resistant traits, but was being a bit spiky, and see how it developed.
you've had a chance to consult somebody, have you?
No, it's just talking about the fact that this is actually a failing queen, and so it's a moot point. You can't rescue that colony. You have to requeen it.
Well, if it can keep going, let's say till the end of April, yeah, okay. If you've got a failing queen, I wouldn't, and it had really good characteristics. I'd be happy to raise queens from it, because I don't think I don't think there's anything wrong with genetics. You just got a physiological problem with a queen, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might do that with that.
Yeah. As much as anything to for my own learning, really.
Yeah.
It'd be so easy to chuck it out, and somebody would come in from outside and say, "Oh, get rid." And you may well be chucking an absolute gem away.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to manage it, but I wouldn't bother too much about it. It's so easy just to go buy a queen, and think you're getting over a problem, and you may not be.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thanks, Roger. And just a question on we were talking about the starter strips there and the depression sticks you're using, but do you use a mix of wired foundation as well in your hives, or is it all?
Yeah, well, it's more than that, because I've made my own foundation now for over 60 years, and that's what I normally use. So I wire the frames and then embed the foundation in it. I don't use unwired frames. I know some people do and they advocate it, but I've had too many problems to do that. Also, as you know, somebody else takes my um, extracts my honey, and they give me the wax back in wire foundation. So that's how I'll get my commercially wire foundation, um, and then I do starter strips.
And do you
And
depress?
sorry,
Do you dip those depressor sticks into
no,
wax before you put
no,
them?
no, 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 absolutely nothing. No, no. What you have got to do uh, is two things. One is you've got to. Can you still see me on this hive here?
Yeah.
Can you? Can you? Yeah, right. What you've got to do is if the frames run that way, you really need to make sure that it's level that way because bees build comb absolutely vertically. So that's one thing. So if they're tipped over, then they won't build them straight. The other thing is you need to have um, start them between two flat combs, two good combs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they're wavy, the bees will just follow the wave. And as I'm sure I've said on many occasions, I've removed ever so many free living colonies, and I've measured between the centres of the combs, and they're consistently 36 to 38 millimeters. And of course, what's happening is that if you measure through a comb where you've got work of both sides, it's spot on 25 millimeters. Um, so they need room back to back between the sealed brood, and um, you can even see this down on the looking down on a brood nest. The bees do that, so they maintain the bee space. Now, if you've got flat combs, straight combs, they'll maintain that. But if the combs are all over the place, then you have got a bit of a problem.
Yeah. And one last thing, I think, Roger, before we go, but someone was from outside the UK was asking what sort of bees you have. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about your bees and indeed the bees that Bibber looks to support.
Right. Okay. Um, yeah, I've used all sorts, or been involved with using all sorts of bees, pure bees, crosses, hybrids, all sorts of things, and I long ago came to the conclusion that the locally adapted bees, although of course when I started keeping bees, that term wasn't used. It's become fairly fashionable ever since, or since then. Locally adapted bees, whatever they are for whatever situation you've got, will generally do the best. Now, obviously, the indigenous or the native bee from wherever you are has evolved for those conditions. Therefore, that is going to be the best type. Unfortunately, because of 150 years of moving bees around, a lot of places, even throughout the world, haven't got um, their native bees, if indeed they had them in the first place. Because don't forget, a lot of the countries, the bigger honey producing countries, um, honeybees aren't indigenous anyway, so they've had to take something else that best suits their conditions. So with all the imports that keep coming in, it's impossible in my area here to keep anything pure, doesn't matter what it is. So all I've got really are what I call effectively local mongrels, because that's what they are. They're heavily introgressed. There's a bit of this, bit of that, bit of something else, and all I've done over the years is just select from the most suitable ones. Because I've removed so many free living colonies, I've learnt a huge amount from them. bees are brilliant teachers, absolutely brilliant teachers. Well, that little tower there, I say tower. The last one I showed you, I've learnt quite a bit today. Would the two girls have or not? I don't know, because but they've been the other side of the camera. But I'm hoping that they'll see the recording and see see what's what. Now, as far as Bibber's concerned, Bibber is um, Bibber will support locally adapted bees wherever they are and whatever they are. Now, there are parts of the country um, that where the climate is very harsh, and it's only our native bee, Apis mellifera, that will survive there. There've been attempts over the years to try and get other things in there, and of course, what happens is natural selection. Nature just takes them out because nature, if it doesn't like something and it's not fit, it just it's absolutely ruthless. It just takes it out. So Bibber will strongly support people in areas who have got Apis mellifera. In fact, you and I came back from Ireland yesterday, where they have got probably the best resource of native bees in the world, really, and they they're really good. They suit their they suit their locality better than anything else that's brought in.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
if you get this area here, there's absolutely no way we can keep native bees because they'll get crossed with something else. That something else may well come originate from other parts of the world, and then if you're not very careful, you get what's called F2 aggression. So the next generation down the line, and probably the one after that, can be, not always, but can be quite unpleasant to handle.
Yeah.
You do need to be a little bit careful. All I suggest to people is that they they use the best of what they got. And when I say the best, that does not necessarily mean the highest producers, because there's lots of reasons why one colony will produce more honey than another, and it's not always genetic. Now, going on from that, I know it's probably not really what Live the Hive is about, but at my local association, Whisper Green, we're setting up queen rearing program for this summer for anybody in West Sussex, and in fact we got interest from outside West Sussex. Can they get involved as well? So what we're doing is we are producing queens from our own stock. We're teaching people how to raise their own queens, irrespective of how many they want. So if they only want 2 or 3 queens a year, teach them how to do that. If they want 30, 50, 100 queens a year, we're teaching them to do that. The queens are going to be free, so we're not charging anything for them. We've had one small donation that will help pay for queen cages and consumables and that sort of thing. And there's Martina, who's experienced beekeeper, and myself. We're basically running it, but we've got about 4 or 5 other newish beekeepers who have offered to help, and I'm hoping they're going to learn. So hopefully we can improve the bees that we've got in our area, because some people, if they want a queen, it's just you use the keyboard and the credit card, and that's it. You never quite know what you're going to get, and what you get might well, let's say, contaminate the bees in the area. But that is going beyond what Live at the Hive is about. But it's just a bit of a taste, and that's what you
Yeah. That's a
that's
good
what you
answer.
asked. That's what you asked for.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good. Thank you, Roger. I think we should probably leave it there because we're well over time, but it's been a really good session.
Yeah, we're down.
Particularly the flower farm.
We're down to 11 now,
Yeah,
and that may be why I was using a bit of a pin cushion a few minutes ago.
yeah.
If you get another 3 or 4 degrees, both those colonies might behave. Well, in fact, I'm pretty certain they'll behave a lot different than they did. The last one was, fairly easy to manage, but the earlier one, they were a bit on the spiky side.
Do you think the failing queen could be behind that, though?
I don't think so, no. But I didn't really think about it at the time. There could well even be a supersedure cell in there.
Yeah,
It's one thing I'm going to have to keep an eye on.
definitely.
I've very often had supersedure cells in marching colonies, and one of them one year she got mated, not very well, but she got mated. Now, of course, in nature, what would happen is that she'd probably get mated with some of the earlier drones, but not very well. And then she would get superseded very soon afterwards when things are much better.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you, Roger. Do you want to say your?
I'm having two ladies 10 yards from me, and they're pointing like this. So anyway, yeah, that's the end of this one. I'm sorry it wasn't perhaps quite as I expected, but if it's your first time for live at the Hive, everything is sort of spontaneous, and we never quite know what we're going to come across. And from feedback, most of people seem to think that that what we do is interesting and is relative and appropriate to them. So thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you again.
Thanks, Roger.